Today, we're talking about money. Now, I know that money is a taboo thing that a lot of people feel uncomfortable talking about, even in the context of business, and it can be difficult to find someone that you trust that works in the financial industry. So that's why for today's show, I'm bringing on my friend Kyle. Kyle is a certified financial planner, and he's really good at what he does. He helps people steward their finances, make difficult decisions around money, and helps businesses plan for exits. Nothing that you're going to hear in today's show is going to be financial advice. If you want actual financial advice, I highly recommend you talk to Kyle. He's extremely good at what he does. He has a heart for serving people, and you won't regret it. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Friendly Cities Show. Kyle, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, Mark. My name's Kyle Glenn. I'm a certified financial planner and a certified exit planner at my firm, Glenn Financial. And my whole mission of being in business is to help Main Street business owners have a successful exit to the best of our ability. Obviously, there's variables outside of our control at times, but my passion really is to help our neighbors who own businesses prepare for their financial future so that when they go on to their next chapter of life after they've retired from their business or sold it, they have that life that they've been dreaming of.
You talk about Main Street business owners. What is it about that group that really attracted you to them?
Growing up, I grew up in a household with an entrepreneur. My dad had started several businesses when I was a kid. He started a jam business when I was really young. So one of my first memories was him making jam and me eating the fruit, right? But in 2003, we had a pretty serious car accident where he was in the hospital for 48 days, in a coma for 36. And so his business that was growing, it was doing very well. He had just gotten into all the giant eagles in the state of Pennsylvania to distribute through. But he was the business. And he was wheelchair bound for about a year at that point. And so he had to sell the business for pennies on the dollar. And really those next few years were really, really hard with medical debt and not knowing, what's going to happen. And so I kind of learned as a kid, like the home life of being an entrepreneur's kid, so to speak. And I kind of grew up just like asking questions and learning about the stresses of being a business owner. My dad then started Glenn Financial in 2011 after he was able to get back on his feet, so to speak. And it took a while for him to be successful in that too, grinding it out. And so I just kind of learned the industry through him, learned about business. And when I first became a financial planner, I was not marketing myself to business owners. There's a saying in the financial industry that if you can fog up a mirror, you're a good client, meaning that if you're alive, like you're a good client for a young financial advisor. So I was really just trying to help anyone that would be willing to let me help them. But I then started getting business owner clients, and the conversation always gravitated around their business. And so I began researching more and found that the actual success rate of a good sale is really, really low. I think Exit Planning Institute came out with a study that said only 20% of businesses actually transact for the contract price or above. And when I'm sitting across from a business owner who's looking to me to build them a financial plan, I can't do a fiduciary duty and act in their best interest if we're not addressing their business. And for me, it's that I feel like Main Street business owners are the core of our economy. If Main Street were to shut down, our local economy would really, really feel that, mostly because they're our neighbors. They're the people that we see every single day. And that's kind of what has drawn me to that, is I want to make sure that this subset of our economy can be provided for because they do so much for us.
Yeah, it's like the backbone of America.
Really, yeah, exactly.
When you finally get them in the office and you sit down with them, what are you looking at? Like, what are you looking for in these people, and how does that process go?
Yeah. So the first meeting that I have with a client, I only really ask two questions in the first 30 minutes. First is, what is on your mind? And tell me more about that. The whole goal here is to mainly just figure out what is the impetus for them to meet with me. Many people will not meet with a financial planner until they determine in their mind that there is a reason to meet with us. somewhat like a doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in 10 years, right? It's not until I need a physical or I need blood work done do I go to the doctor. Nothing against the doctor.
I'm with you,
It
dude.
it's just kind of the routine of life. And so typically there is a reason why a client's coming to me. It's my job to first figure out what that reason is, the core of it, not just, oh, I paid too much in taxes or whatever it may be, but getting to the core of it and then fleshing that out. Because it's not my job to just prescribe something onto someone else. It's actually to listen to them and diagnose. And so our process is called the Think On It process, and it's mainly just a trust building exercise. I want the person that is deciding whether or not they want to work with Glenn Financial to have a good list of ideas of what we would do if we were in their shoes before we ever charge them a dime. And so they will have a clear understanding of the value that would be provided to them if they do become a client before they ever have to make that decision. And in that first meeting, it's really just to get to know you. Do I excite you, or do I
Do you like me? Do you want to work with me? Do we want to work with each other?
exactly like I don't want to work with jerks, and I hope I'm not a jerk, but I wouldn't want someone to work with me if I'm not a good personality fit for them, because inherently financial advice is a trust economy. Like our business is entirely built on trust. If there's any opportunity for a lack of trust, then that relationship erodes very, very quickly. And so our job as a financial advisor is to build that trust and then to make sure that that trust is maintained.
I think one of the things that you're doing, for those of you that don't know, Kyle has a YouTube channel. And I think the reason that's amazing and doing long form content is because you're able to build trust on such a asynchronous level. Because the way you build trust is you spend time with people. It's hard and expensive to get these business owners to sit down and spend that time with you. But whenever you create content and you make videos that are 15 minutes long, that's a lot of time that somebody spends with you that they can start growing in that trust with you. So my question is, how have you been building trust outside of just sitting down with them and not only building trust, but showing them that there's value here?
Yeah. The main way is keeping our promises and our word. If we, out of the meeting, have a list of agendas that we need to get done, we communicate with that client when they are getting done so that they know that we're actually working for them after that meeting ends. And so proactive communication is vital for trust. If you don't have good communication, how can you possibly have a good relationship? And then showing our work is another big thing.
How do you do that?
Mainly, we track everything. Every single time that we tweak or modify or think for a client, we record it so that when we have that client meeting the next time, on May 25th, we did this. On May 28th, we looked at this. We had this phone call conversation. That way, they can see the process that we go through behind the scenes. And it's very transparent to make sure that they know that, we're working on their behalf. The next really big trust building thing that we do is content. We do biweekly newsletters that either are market updates or just life updates. They might be specific to a client that I've been working with, and I change the names and change a little bit of the details, but give a real story that might connect with someone, and just let them know that, hey, we are going to continue doing this and that we're going to be consistent and stable in this. With YouTube, for example, it's not a strategy to grow a huge YouTube channel for me. Would I love 100,000 subscribers or whatever it might be and be monetized and make lots of money? Absolutely, that'd be sweet. But really, it's about having that conversation, like you were saying, of let me learn about this Kyle Glenn guy without having to call him up on the phone.
Yeah, let me see how he can help me. And the goal is to be helpful so that you can help people without having to take your time. You can just spend the time, make the content once, and then you can help hundreds, millions of people if you package it correctly.
And it is time intensive to create content.
Oh, for sure.
And sometimes I wonder if it's worth it. I spend 5 hours making a 15-minute video, right? Is this a good return on time right now? But again, the thought process is, if I can help a client on a Saturday when I'm not answering a phone call and they find my YouTube channel and they see that question being answered and they see real life stuff happening and being answered on YouTube, or someone that's thinking that they need a financial advisor, but they don't know where to begin. Like, those conversations are evergreen. They'll always be there. And I can, over time, if I can have 1,000 hours on YouTube and be done with it, that's evergreen content that will be able to help people consistently for years.
Yeah. I love how you're thinking about evergreen content because, humans don't change.
Right, exactly.
Finance is still
There's
finance.
nothing
Math
new
is
under
math.
the sun.
I love that. There's nothing new under the sun. I was talking to my buddy the other day. We were just talking about that, how like it feels like the whole world is changing. Everything is evolving. Technology is moving so fast. But at the end of the day, nothing really changes.
Yeah.
I think we just...
For me, that's a really good way of staying grounded, because if I look at all the changes that are happening in the world with AI, which I know you're a huge fan of, but or at least you're very, very interested in it. When I look at all the different things that you can implement into your business, it's super easy to get overwhelmed.
So many ways it can help you.
Yeah.
But there's also so many ways it can overwhelm you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just keeping grounded of like, hey, there's nothing new under the sun. It might seem overwhelming today, but people have gone through similar things before.
Yeah.
You
mentioned in your just a few seconds ago that you put out these newsletters and you tell stories. What's been the story that stood out to you the most?
It's actually a recent one. Recently I had two people, someone that was looking for a financial advisor and one a client, give me a call, come meet in my office. It's like, what do I do with this check? My client received a huge rollover from her 401k. She had separated from service, became a stay-at-home mom. Now she's having like a 6-figure check in her hand. And she's like, I don't know what to do with this. So I was like, we've already planned for this. It's okay. The other is like a friend of mine who had a legal settlement, and she had a 10-figure settlement, and she did not know what to do with it. And it was not a sense of fulfillment in that regard. It was a lot of stress and fear. Sometimes you might think that more money is great, but more money, more problems, man.
I know it. I know the song.
And so the approach to that is very similar for both. You need to have a plan and a process. You need to be able to park that money for a time to acclimate yourself to that level of money now, so that you don't make any rash decisions, and then go through a clear plan to be able to place that money into your entire financial picture. And I feel like at some point, every single person is going to have a large check, whether you sell your home, you roll your 401k over, you sell your business, like you're going to have that check that goes, whoa, like that's a lot of money. Like I never held that much money in my life before, however you get it. And I feel like that connects with my clientele because they were thinking about that, or maybe they've gone through it before. But that's a recent story that has just happened in the last month that I made a YouTube video about that's going to come out here soon, and wrote a few newsletters for as well.
One misstep can cost you so much. You just have to know what you do, or what the right thing to do with it is, because everyone's going to give you advice. Everyone's going to like tell you what to invest in, what to do.
The real thing with large lump sum windfalls is that having the money can sometimes feel like permission to do things. Like, now I have this money that okay, let's use an example. I've sold my business. I have this great windfall that I've been expecting. This is amazing. This is everything I've dreamed for. I'm holding this check, and now all the possibilities are coming into my mind of going on that vacation with my wife, of starting up that second business, of funding my cousin's, whatever business it might be. And it can oftentimes feel like permission to do those things because now you have the check to back what you want to do. But typically, if you look at lottery winners, they go broke within the first 10 years because they don't know how to handle that level of money. And it's typically not good for someone to have a large lump sum of money just land in their pocket without having a clear plan in place, because they won't know how to handle it. So ideally, you plan in advance so that everything feels almost methodical and boring once that check lands, so that you're not making any emotional decisions. Because if I were to hand you a 7-figure check right now, you would not be processing it with a logical side of your brain. It would be all emotional.
The dopamine would be firing.
Yeah, the dopamine would be just going through the roof, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting married in 2 days. I'm going to go on a honeymoon. Is it all paid for? This is awesome. That's how it can get blown very, very quickly.
What's the craziest thing that a client came in and wanted to invest in that you had to talk them off the ledge?
To invest in.
Or maybe spend money on.
Well, there's always the boat.
There's always the boat? That's what I was thinking.
There's always the boat or the, second home or whatever it might be. Thankfully, I haven't had a lot of like horror stories with investments, a few private placements of like, some off-market deals that they wanted to invest in. So we had to go through the prospectus, which is basically just a 150-page document of what is this investment.
So you do the due diligence for them?
Yeah, I will help them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Especially if they've engaged me to do that. That's part of it.
How hard is it? How expensive is it to get help from a financial planner?
From a financial planner, it really depends. So a certified financial planner is someone that has gone through advanced curriculum.
Wait, you can just have like a normal financial planner and a certified financial planner?
Yeah, so a financial planner is someone that has passed the series exams to be able to sell securities and to provide financial advice underneath of whatever state they're providing advice in. For the state of Virginia, you have to be licensed in the state of Virginia to provide financial advice. Most CFPs are also financial advisors, right? They are also licensed to buy and sell securities and provide financial advice, but really it's a 2-year master's degree equivalent. It's not a master's degree, but it's equivalent to go through the coursework, and then you have to sit for a 4-hour exam roughly to be able to pass it. And then you need to have at least 6,000 hours worth of experience before you're able to even use their certification. So it's just a higher bar to be able to be a CFP, which is all well and good. There's very, very good financial advisors that are not CFPs, and there's very, very lackluster CFPs out there. It's more so the character and quality of the person that's holding the credential than just the credential itself. But the way that I'm not sure how most CFPs will charge, but the way that we charge at our firm is that for the first 3 meetings of our process is completely complimentary. We call that the think on it process, where we get a pretty good diagnosis of where the client's at, and then give them our best ideas for free, so that they can see, hey, does this guy know what he's talking about? First off, can he provide value worth commensurate to the fee that he would like to charge me? And then after that think on it process, we give them a few days, think on it. We give them a call. And if they decide to then partner with us as a client, they go into we charge both on an asset level as well as a planning level. And so they can determine based off of what their planning needs are to kind of, it's a sliding scale, so to speak. The more complex, obviously, probably the higher the fee would be. But my thought process is that I do not want to turn down anyone that needs financial advice. That's the whole point of me being in business, is to help people. Yes, I want to make a living, sure. But that's kind of why we've created our Think On It process, is so that we can provide that advice. And if the person decides to self-implement or go with another financial advisor, we can part ways with as friends, keep our brand and our identity in place, and keep a good reputation in the marketplace, ideally. And if we can help people along the way, absolutely, we'll do that.
It's important because you're taking all the risk by
on the front end.
Yeah, on the front end.
Yeah. I don't know. The one thing about my industry is that sometimes fees can be really hidden. It's not always the most transparent.
What kind of fees?
Let's say a 1% fee. Well, people can do the math, obviously, but we like to quote that in dollars so that people actually know. There are just ways of. I don't want to get in trouble here. There's ways to commissionable events and things like that where the client is disclosed the fee, but might be buried in 100 pages of other stuff. And so sometimes it's really hard to show our value when the client doesn't really know what they're paying. And so we just put it on the front page. Like, here's our value. This is our best ideas for you. And here's what we would charge based off of that. And if that's of value to you, I think we're going to be a great partner. I don't know. You might have to cut that. I don't want to cast any dispersion on the industry.
I'm a big fan of being a contrarian, or
yeah, me too.
You have to stand out. You have to be show how you're different than everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a fear that a lot of people have is when they work with someone in finance that they're going to get hosed.
That's my passion, is that I want to work for a living. I want to be paid well, sure, but I'm more passionate about the work than I am about the AUM, the assets under management, or the fees that we're collecting. Because the people that I work with are doing the exact same thing in their businesses. When I talk to my business owner clients, hey, what motivates you to get up in the morning? It's not their salary. It's not the amount of money that they're pulling from their business. It's the clients and the employees that they get to serve. And I think that's why I'm so attracted to the right demographic of Main Street business owner that are really energized by that, because that's what energizes me.
A lot of people are in business. How many of them are planning to exit it versus just take it to the grave?
Great question.
Does everybody want to exit?
I think everyone wants to have value out of their business. I think that might be a far off conversation for a lot of people, though, where they're more so worried about just getting through the day and making sure that their business is surviving right now. But I think, everyone wants to have something to do with their business afterwards, whether they give it to their kids or sell it to their kids for a legacy aspect, or, man, I'm tired, I want to sell this business and retire and go hang out with my spouse, and go fly fishing or whatever it might be. I think everyone wants to have something, but for some people it's more thought out than others. My thing, especially for new business owners, I'll be honest, most of my business owner clients are more established, so I'm not working with a ton of startups. But for those that I am working with, I'm working with a chiropractor here in town. My whole thing with him is have a plan for how you're going to get out of this business, because everyone will exit their company at some point, whether it's through death, disability, disagreement, divorce. Every person, they are going to exit their business, and they need to have a plan for what will occur when that happens. Will it be a sale? If so, what's the data to support that? Because, every person overvalues their business, just like how they overvalue their home. You list your home for sale, you put it $50,000 above asking or above market, just to see what the market, see if there's any bites, and then you can lower it later, which isn't a great strategy, according to some of my realtor friends. But if you're going to sell your business, what's the data? What's the proof that it's actually able to be sold? And if it's not, that's okay. It's okay to not have to sell your business, to shut your doors. It's okay. You have permission to do that. You own the thing, but you need to prepare differently. You're not going to have that liquidity event at the end of it all. And so with this cash flow that you're generating from the business, you're going to have to start squirreling away some money to be able to prepare for that, time when you step away from the business.
You've talked about this previously on a different podcast where you talk about the different types of businesses and ones that are harder to sell or easier to sell. Can you break that down a little bit more?
Generally speaking, there's two main style of businesses: lifestyle businesses and enterprise businesses. And the real difference there is the scale of the business as well as the intent of the business owner. For lifestyle businesses, they're mainly designed to support the lifestyle of the business owner, not to create a ton of impact in the marketplace beyond pulling a paycheck. Basically, think about it this way: you own your own job is the idea of a lifestyle business. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have the flexibility and ability to make the money that you want to make and take time off and spend more time with your kids instead of being locked into a 9-to-5, more power to you. That's awesome. The other type is more enterprise businesses that are designed to, build out a workforce, provide jobs to the community. They're typically larger in terms of gross revenue that they're working in. Now, there are some lifestyle businesses that make a ton of money. But
what are some examples?
A really easy one would be Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
$100 million deal with Spotify, lifestyle business. If he doesn't do a podcast, he's not getting paid because it's all tied to ad revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, in a sense, is a lifestyle business. He interviews who he wants to interview. He interviews when he wants to interview for as long as he wants to interview. And he has lifestyle to support it. It's awesome. More enterprise businesses are who I work with, like, the trades, construction, concrete, people that have a workforce. Those are primarily the two subsets of businesses that I see, at least on a commonplace.
Would you ever discourage someone from starting a lifestyle business?
Absolutely not. No is the easy answer. That's the short answer. My job is, again, not to prescribe what I would want for myself onto someone else. You can make a great living as a lifestyle business and, have the lifestyle that you want to have as well. You can kind of have your cake and eat it too. It's just, from an exit planning standpoint, where I go back to is that if you have a lifestyle business and your business is you, then you can't expect a large sale at the end. So if you have revenue, you have to save that in a way of similar to an employee, right? Of saving in your 401k or your SEP IRA or whatever it might be to be able to build up a retirement fund that can support you and your family after you're done working. The great thing about lifestyle businesses is that you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the flexibility and the tax benefits of being a business owner while still being able to kind of control and grow your business the way that you want to. You kind of get that benefit of being an employee, of having maybe a salary and being able to defer into your 401k, but then all of the benefits of also being a business owner. You just never discourage anyone to follow their dreams, but also encourage them to be wise in the way that they're following them.
The lifestyle business is something that really attracts me because I want to control my life. I don't want to be so tied down to what I'm doing that I can't get away if I ever need to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, kind of a workaholic too. So it's really easy to get lost in it. And just to work all the time and to put everything, put all the eggs in one basket, so to say, or just put all the effort and the time into it. And sure, you have the flexibility, but that also means you can work as much as you want. And you might as well, if you're not even going to have an enterprise business, you're just going to work all the time.
And it may be even harder for you to have control over the amount of time that you're putting into your business. With an enterprise business, regardless of the type of business you have, you're still a business owner. And so the temptation for workaholism is going to be there regardless of the type of business. But that concept of control is there regardless. There's really four types of entrepreneurs. There's the exemplars, which really just by definition aren't on Main Street. No offense to us. But they're, Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and the Elon Musk, the crazy entrepreneurs that just build massive companies. Those are kind of like the examples for us. The next one is probably the more common is the general, which is kind of a misnomer. It's not about having a large team. It's about that locus of control. They want to be in charge of every single aspect of their business, which can be both a benefit to them, but also a detriment. That you have the philanthropists, people that love to work in nonprofits. That's a style of entrepreneur. Instead of building a for-profit business, they're building a non-for-profit charity. And then the next, probably most common type is the parent, the person that sees their business as their baby, and they treat it that way, where anything the business wants, they get. If it's our time, if it's our money, they also allow the business to kind of be more of a lifestyle business, to be able to fit into their family needs. And so it's an interesting thing when you kind of scale back and you kind of just look at the demographics of business owners. You can kind of start picking up, oh, that's the type of business owner they are, or they're a general because I see this trait about them, or they're a parent. And then that helps me as a financial planner if I can psychodemographically know what type of client I'm working with, I can better serve them, because I keep a running list of what is their personality type? How do they like to be communicated with? What's their favorite drink? What's their favorite color? Just a running list of how do I better serve these people? And if you know what kind of entrepreneur you are, you also will know what type of risks might be specific to you. So
what kind of entrepreneur are you?
I'm probably a general, to be honest. And general is not necessarily a bad thing. But with a general, you have a really tight grasp over your business. You really want everything inside of your locus of control. And so you might really, really struggle with micromanaging and being able to delegate tasks because you're worried that someone else may not be able to perform that function as well as you. And so you hold that all tightly, and then that's your own bottleneck. You can't grow beyond a certain point because you're limiting your own growth. And honestly, I think that's probably my predisposition. I don't think you're stuck. And I think there's a growth mindset there of if you can identify specific risk in your life, even with anything, you can address it. You have the ability to change if that's what you want. But again, you got to first identify what's going on.
I know you said on a previous podcast that a lot of times when you sit down with someone, it's kind of like therapy.
Yeah.
Where you have their spouse there and you're talking to them about what's life going to look like after, and they don't really know. They haven't done the personal planning.
Yeah, that's really for exit planning specifically of think about your home, right? You list your home for sale. You're not just selling, 4 walls and a driveway. You're selling the memories that go along with it. The markings on the wall of your kids growing up. And my oldest daughter's Esme. We just put markings on our wall of she's 3 years old, she's 3 feet tall, right? You're selling that. You're selling the home that you took your kids home to, that you got married in, that you spent every Saturday for years mowing the yard in. Those things stick with you. Even more so with a business because of how hard it was to build it. It's so hard to build that when you sell it, you're not just selling, the assets of the business or whatever. You're selling those relationships with your employees, with your best customers, with that office that you dreamt of and you built out. Those are real things as well. And people don't think that way, at least not initially, because they're just thinking, how do I close my gap of the money that I need to be able to have the retirement, but they're not realizing how much they're losing when they sign that
How much of their
contract.
identity has been tied up in this thing.
Yeah.
That can be difficult.
Yeah, it can be very difficult, and especially when it's a short time frame. Like, you kind of got to go through things quickly, and you might not have as much time to process emotionally what's going on. And so that's why I always say, like, hey, when you get that check, if we haven't had the time to really plan and process as well as we would have liked, let's park this into a high yield savings account. And if it just earns interest for a while, that's perfectly fine. And allow yourself to emotionally process what just happened. You're not the same person that you were, when you're running your business. Your routine, your rhythm, your sense of purpose has completely changed. It's worthwhile to do that inner work to make sure that, hey, we're not making any major mistakes here, and to make sure that the spouse is on the same page. With most business owners, some business owners are completely integrated, their spouses and their business completely integrated. One of my clients runs their business with their spouse, which has its pros and its cons.
Would you recommend that?
I've seen it. They're probably going to watch this podcast, so they're probably going to laugh out of this. They would not recommend it. Personally, it's very, very hard to keep
the separation. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go outside. Like after work,
nope. And then after work, you don't have the ability to turn your brain off from work because your coworkers at home,
your partner's right there. I'm still scheming right now.
So if I've also seen it done really well. A local client here runs the business with his wife. She's the CFO of the company, right? She runs everything. She's the one that keeps it working, and they have clear roles, clear defined hierarchy within the business. And then when it turns, 5, 6 o'clock, it's off, and they've worked really, really hard to make sure that they keep the marriage separated from the business so that those, frankly, different relationships can continue to thrive.
Even if you're not in the business with your spouse, it's still really easy to let the business take over your identity and to not know who you are, and you kind of need your spouse to help remind you and kind of bring you back to reality. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and thankfully I have a good spouse for that. For me, I'll just speak for myself. I allow the business, Glenn Financial, to take up so much of my mind. I am always worried or stressed or thinking or happy or excited or whatever it may be of what's going on in the business.
I relate to that so much.
And it's good. We were made to work, right? Like God has given us the ability to work. He said that is good. It's all the other things that tend to be bad at times. For me, my mind share, like, it's really hard for me to turn my mind off, like to switch from financial planner, business owner to dad and husband. 20-minute car ride does not do that for me. It takes like an hour and a half, to wind down. And so my wife, Susanna, really has to like she's been very good at being able to read me now. And we've been able to say, hey, I'm stressed out about this. Let me just vent for 5 minutes and get it over with. But she's been very good at realizing whether I'm there or not. Like, she'll look at my eyes and be like, oh, you're not here, are you? Like, no, sorry. And then she's like, okay, get back. You're like, you got 2 kids. Go be a dad, go touch grass, and that, being able to be called out in a loving way, to be able to fulfill my purpose and passion of being a dad and a father, you need to have a partner to be able to do that, someone to call you out. And because I get so worried and so stressed, it's really, really hard for me to remember myself sometimes. I can get into a really negative headspace sometimes. If I have someone that chose not to be a client that I thought would be a great fit, or bad quarter, or, financial advice is inherently personal. So if like someone like doesn't follow my advice or doesn't choose me, like I can kind of like
it hurts. I don't know why.
Yeah, it hurts. It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Yeah,
but it does.
I was pitching a company the other day, and they ended up saying no, and it hurt. I'm like, yo, is this not good enough? Like, what did I do wrong?
Am I not good enough?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm relatively self-conscious, but I do care what other people think. And it's very easy to just get stuck in that headspace, right?
What advice would you have to someone who's getting married who also struggles with the same things that you do?
Is that someone you, Mark?
Yes.
I think if you went through premarital counseling, that might have been brought up. I don't know. But knowing that about yourself, have conversations with your spouse now, before you get into those seasons of life where maybe work does require you to work really hard and be thinking about your work. Like maybe you're going through a season of life of that, but you need to have someone that can throw in a life vest, like when it's needed. And really, I mean, the whole thing with this is just be proactive and vulnerable and tell her like, hey, here are some signs. Like if I get in this headspace, just pull me out.
Yeah.
Or if it's 6:30 and I want to go work on my computer again, just tell me no. Like I give you the right now in advance to tell me no. Or if I'm logging 12-hour days, let me do it for a few days, but then like tell me to chill. And that's kind of what my wife does. Like we have to have, like there are routines where work is a lot. Like I'm not at home right now. I'm missing bedtime, right? Of like all that, but that's okay because we know the seasons of life that we have to go through, the ebbs and flows of that. And I'm making that up tomorrow. I'm taking off work early, right? Yeah. And so it's just being proactive and communicating with your spouse it's an underrated, but overtalked element of a marriage that I think will aid to your success in that area.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and thank you. That's really good advice. Hopefully, I won't keep you too much longer.
Oh no, it's fine. I don't have to read Goodnight Moon 5 times tonight, so it's okay, Mark.
How has Glenn Financial or your exit planning company, how has that been growing? Has it been word of mouth?
Primarily word of mouth. Yeah, I mean we've splashed into online advertising. Mainly
search or banners or videos on YouTube, like
mainly Meta, like splash ads.
Okay, how's that been going?
We actually just started it, and so we're still kind of like collecting data, I suppose, of like how does this work. It's really hard to find an intentional lead off of really
extremely
off of really any social media platform, and that's not inherently a bad a knock against the platform. Is just maybe with my industry being so trust based,
right? It's hard to build that trust off an ad.
Exactly. And so the main thing that we're doing from a marketing strategy standpoint is how do we get as many conversations with people as we can with the limited amount of time that we have. And the answer to that question for me was YouTube. And it's not like I have a killer YouTube channel, right? At 68 subscribers.
I think it's pretty great.
I know exactly how many subscribers I have because I look at it every hour. But then again, I have 50 some watch hours.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that
says a lot.
That's 50 hours that I didn't have to put into a conversation, but someone got to know me, got to know an answer to their question, got to know whether or not they liked me. If someone's watching this podcast for this long, they know relatively well if they would like me or not. Yeah. Hopefully they would like me because I'm a very self-conscious person. I want to be liked.
Make sure you drop in the comments that you like Kyle.
Please like me. But again, like YouTube and marketing, again, marketing and advertising are different,
Yeah.
right? Advertising is a much slower, they're both very slow games, but for us, we want to have a very organic marketing strategy, but then throw in the paid advertising to be able to either drive towards that organic strategy or just get people to know who we are. That's the hardest thing in today's marketplace, is that we are so surrounded by information. It's really, really hard to stand out.
Yeah, for sure. Has it been difficult to actually get new clients through all that?
I have not gotten a single client off of social media ever.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes, not yet. One really good thing that has worked for us is Google reviews.
Yeah.
Because of the way that Google works, is that if you type in financial planner near me, it's going to look at both locality and reviews, and it's going to feed you whatever's the best. Now, obviously, SEO is an option there, but I think Google just changed the whole
They just changed
system there.
the search bar, so that's
Yeah, so like you might not even have SEO anymore. But when you go scroll down, you go to Google Maps. Typically, the better ones with the best reviews will rank a little bit higher, even if they're not necessarily closer to us. And I've brought in a healthy amount of clients just through that, which has been honestly the best, and it's free.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a good job for your clients, it's a no-brainer for them to give you a 5-star.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of organic because, first off, you never know what's going to work or not.
Yeah.
So you just need to make stuff
Yep.
and make more stuff and make more stuff. And eventually, when you have something that works, that you know works because you've spent 50 videos making them and like you finally
Yeah.
have enough data, then you take that, the one that works, and then you run that as an ad.
Yeah.
But until then, I think it's kind of, you're like wasting money.
Yeah.
And
it
I
really
believe
is.
in ads. Like I manage a budget of like $20,000 a month for ads for the company that I work for. And in that industry, it's B2B SaaS, so software. It's important, and that's the way that business grows. There's a lot of businesses that are like that, but I'm just such a huge fan of doing things organically because it doesn't cost you anything other than time to make videos, to put them out, and just to see what works. Like the algorithm will do its work. Like
Yeah.
it will get the videos out to people that want to see them. Like take these stories that you're talking about, case studies, just emotional stories of people going through life. Like life is difficult. So you might sell the business because your dad died, or you might sell the business because you got in a car accident, or maybe a divorce. I don't know. It's just, there's so many things that happen that are just difficult. A lot of people relate to that. You know, you were talking about your business or your dad's business and how he got in a car accident. And it was tough being the son of a entrepreneur. I have a very similar story, different circumstances, but you know, that automatically resonated the moment we started talking. I'm like, oh, I can totally relate and understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have similar stories that I think people would be interested in sharing. I would like to hear more. Like money's like a taboo thing. So many people don't talk about it.
Yep.
Have you found that to be your experience, or when people come and sit down in your chair, they're ready to talk?
No, it's it is still taboo. It's even taboo with a financial advisor. You know, it takes time to build trust. And so, you know, maybe they don't want to tell you about that other account with that other financial advisor, or, you know, whatever it might be. Obviously, we do a really good job of trying to dig everything out. Whether they, you know, move all their money with us or whatever, like we need to know what's going on to be able to provide better advice. But yeah, it is still taboo. It's not talked about in church enough. It's one of the most talked about topics in Scripture. Money is, and so most of our clients, what we do to make sure that money is being talked about is, one, like our newsletters, and, you know, share this with your kids, invite your kids to the meeting, right? Because at one point your money is going to be their money, right? And you want to make sure that your money doesn't become someone else's money because your kids don't know how to handle it, right? And so that coaching and training of the heirs to know how to handle wealth and have an open conversation about wealth in a way that is not self-aggrandizing or look at us, we're so rich. But like more so like, hey, these are the resources that we have been provided and that we've worked really hard for, and we want to steward them well. And one day you're going to have a share of this, and we want to make sure that you can steward them well. A great way that I use, or a great idea that I've used to help that conversation is using donor advised funds, which is a charitable fund. If someone gives a lot of money to charity on a yearly basis, mainly for tax purposes, they can put that money into a donor advised fund and claim the charitable deduction in that tax year, but the money does not have to be distributed from the fund the same time. It can be held in the fund, invested in the market. It can grow for them over time. And what I do then is facilitate conversations of like, hey, let's create a hypothetical board of advisors of this donor advised fund, and your kids are on that board. And before you do any grants or anything like that to a charity, have your son create a PowerPoint of like what's a charity that he likes. Why should he give money to that charity, and pitch you. It creates public speaking skills. It helps them to invest in knowing like what charities would they actually like to be a part of, what resonates with them, whether they're 10 or 20, whatever it is. But then it also allows them to see wealth, not in a manner of like, oh, look how much we have, but hey, this is how much we get to give. So it's seeing wealth from a philanthropy and an open hand rather than a grabbing hand pulling it back towards you. Is a really easy and kind of low pressure way to train that next generation of starting to be accustomed to dollars and figures that they might know that their dad's rich, or yeah, he's got a few, apartment buildings and all this kind of stuff, but I don't really know what's going on. It's just a really easy way to kind of broach that conversation and bring that next generation into the conversation.
Do you one day hope that your kids will inherit your business?
But yeah, if God allows me to continue growing Glenn Financial and that it's still around in 20 years when my kid's out of college or whatever she wants to do and she wants to be a part of it, yeah, that'd be awesome.
At the end of the day, whenever you're out of business, what's the one thing that you want to be remembered for?
I think that really the only thing I want to be remembered for is being a good husband, a good dad. That's everything else is downstream from that. That I was put onto this earth for a specific purpose, and that's not to be a business owner. It's to be a good dad now that that's part of my life, and to be a great husband. That's really the only thing I want to be remembered for. I don't want to be remembered for Glenn Financial. If I am, I did something wrong. I think purpose can be different than what you do. Like what is your real purpose in life can be different than what you do for a living, right? I think many business owners deal with this, right? Like either they were not modeled this growing up, and so they have an identity issue in their business, or they were modeled it. Like my dad is a great example. When he started Glenn Financial, it was like right at the bottom of like the commercial market for 2008. Like 2011 is kind of where Glenn Financial got started, and it just started been recovering. And I remember from him, not the amount of work that he put into his business, but the amount of time that he spent with us, like me and my siblings. And that's more impactful. I think that was his purpose. Yes, he's a great business owner. But that's not probably what most of us will be remembered for. The moments that you have with your kids and with your family is who Mark will be remembered for. It's not how great Friendly City Podcast is. Yes, that is a fantastic attribute of you, and you're very, very gifted at what you do. But that gifting is a subset, a tertiary element of your real purpose of being a son of God, right? Mm-hmm. and to be, a great husband here in 2 days. Right.
Yeah.
But with many business owners, they weren't modeled that. And so, and if they were, they're afraid that they're not giving that, to their kids and to their spouse. And so it can be very hard to balance, between like, what is my purpose and identity, what I do for a living. And for men, especially, we are so tied. Our purpose and our identity is so tied to what we do. And is that a bad thing? I'm not saying it is. Like I have a lot of purpose and identity and fulfillment of being a business owner myself. But if that's all you got, you're leaving something on the table.
You're missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. I feel like I was just like in your office talking about.
This is often what a financial planning conversation looks like.
Yeah.
It goes a lot of different directions.
Does it go pretty deep usually?
It can. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.